What is going on, guys, and welcome to today's WrestleMania episode where we'll discuss 10 of wrestling's true life tough guys from the last 30 years. That's why you don't see tough men like Luthez, Gorilla Monsoon, Peter Maivia or Danny Hodge on this list. Now, before you accuse your friends at WrestleMania of ridiculing wrestlers, understand that we realize everyone from the curtain jerkers to the main event stars are tough for the grueling schedule they work, oftentimes with nagging injuries or illnesses. The average wrestler is one tough hombre, but in the world of wrestling, there is tough and, as Arn Anderson used to call it, double tough. In the world of tough guys, these are the real bad boys of the squared circle. But how do we measure toughness, you ask? Well, number 1, the ability to dish out an ass beating. Number 2, the ability to take an ass beating. And number 3, doing something just incredibly tough that shows intestinal fortitude. Just to give you an idea where wrestlers rank, let's set the bar beginning with the guys that are soft, such as Shawn Michaels. To quote Jim Cornette, he couldn't whip cream with an outboard motor. And on the other end, the bona fide G's. Although Andre wasn't known for causing trouble, by all accounts everyone knew that they were at his complete mercy when they got in the ring with him. So here they are, in no complete order, 10 of wrestling's legit badasses. Number 1, Bad News Brown. There's gotta be something pretty badass about a guy who made Andre the Giant back down. Bad News Brown, aka Alan Coage, won a bronze medal in judo at the 1976 Summer Olympics before transitioning into professional wrestling. Wrestling legend has it that Andre the Giant made some racial remarks about Brown that didn't go over very well with the two when they were traveling by bus on a wrestling tour in Japan. Brown challenged Andre to back up his words, stop the bus, and invited Andre to disembark for a, let's say, tete-a-tete. Andre reportedly backed down and, according to some stories, later apologized. Given Andre's reputation, Bad News' rep went up considerably after the incident. Number 2, Harley Race. The NWA World Heavyweight Champion worked at a time when promoters still might try to send in one of their wrestlers into the ring and shoot on the World Champion. That's one of the reasons why the NWA put the strap on Race. Very few people were stupid enough to try and double cross with Race once the bell rang. One wannabe tough guy was Vince McMahon. According to Race's autobiography, King of the Ring, Vinnie Mac invited Race to dinner to discuss Race backing out of Jim Crockett Promotions' first Starrcade show for a cool $500,000. Had Race done so, the event may have been ruined and JCP could have lost a ton of money. When Race said thanks but no thanks, McMahon reportedly attacked Race. Race claims that he was ready to snap McMahon's neck but thought better. When you add in the fact that Race survived a horrific car accident that killed Race and his wife, Race was pronounced dead at the scene, and despite doctors telling him he'd never walk, let alone wrestle, an 18-year-old Race spent nearly 2 hellacious years of rehabilitation. He's been called the King Harley Race and Handsome Harley. Now you can add hella tough Harley Race to that list. Number 3, Bam Bigelow. Bam Bam deserves a mention here for his heroic action in rescuing 3 kids from a burning building. Bam Bam rushed into a situation that any sane person would have rushed out of. Instead, Bigelow's heroism saved 3 lives, and although it came out with a heavy price, burns of over 40% of his body, Bigelow just didn't care. The Beast from the East would spend 2 months in a hospital recovering from the injuries. Now that's what you call a badass. Number 4, Perry Saturn. This is a story of a guy who took multiple bullets to stop someone from being raped. In April 2004, Saturn was driving with his girlfriend when he heard a commotion and investigated. Saturn saw 2 men attempting to rape a woman and rescued the woman from her assailants. During the battle, the grappler thought that he'd been punched, but what Saturn thought were punches were actually gunshot wounds. Nevertheless, Saturn rescued the woman, although not without suffering himself. Perry Saturn would struggle with drug addiction after his injuries, but thankfully recovered, showing his toughness on many levels. Mr. Wonderful will always be known for being a powerful guy who works stiff, and if you weren't careful, he could take your head off with one of his clotheslines. Hulk Hogan remarked in his video, Hollywood Hogan, Hulk Still Rules, that he made a lot of money working with Mr. Wonderful during their feud in 1986, but it was always a painful experience. Consider this, Orndorff wrestled injured during his feud with Hogan when he should have had surgery. The result was that Orndorff's right arm slightly deteriorated. Sharp-eyed viewers will note a big difference between Orndorff's look at the first WrestleMania and his days in WCW in the mid-90s. According to several sources, and we recommend you read the book Titan Shattered for an in-depth account of the backstage brawl, wrestling mammoth Vader aka Leon White got in a backstage argument with Orndorff at one stage. The shouting match turned physical and the two men exchanged blows. In the end, the smaller Orndorff got the best of the bigger Vader, despite his physical limitations and the fact that he was also wearing flip-flops. Some believe Vader was lucky Orndorff was wearing flip-flops, or Orndorff could have hurt him even further. Everyone concurs that if Orndorff had been wearing bunny slippers, Vader would have died from shame. Number 6. Kid Tonga, aka Haku, aka Meng. What's lurking behind those eyes, you ask? A man capable of ripping someone's teeth out with his bare hands? A man who once punched a man through 2 doors and one of every few men Bobby the Brain Heenan claims Andre the Giant feared? Whether he was called Kid Tonga, Haku or Meng, you'd better call him Sir. And don't say wrestling's fake. One guy said so to Meng and the Tonga native reportedly bit the man's nose off. Damn. Number 7. Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. Cowboy Bob's technical skills made him one of the best wrestlers of the 1980s. Like many of his peers, he liked to unwind after the matches with a cocktail or two. In his autobiography, Bret Hart recalls a night a naked Bob Orton locked himself out of his hotel room. When police showed up to arrest Roddy Piper and Don Morocco, Orton got involved. The police shot Orton with a tranquilizer only for Orton to tell him, "Is this all you got?" One can only imagine what else was in Orton's blood if he had shrugged off a tranquilizer. Number 8. William Regal. Regal fought for a living when he was just 15. He paid his wrestling dues about as hard as you could, working in wrestling challenge booth where he took on all comers eager to get his prize money. Along the way, Regal learned how to stretch people regardless of their size. Years later, he would take aspiring star Bill Goldberg down a couple of notches after Goldberg's ego reportedly exploded after he received a monster push in WCW. According to some, Regal toyed with Goldberg, having his way with the big man until Regal felt he'd learnt his lesson. Again, there are conflicting reports, but one story has it that WCW fired Regal for turning Goldberg into his toy. Another has it that Goldberg just couldn't keep up. Given Regal's background, Goldberg didn't have a chance whether he wanted to fight Regal or he didn't. Number 9. Kurt Angle. Professional wrestling is full of hyperbole, but Kurt Angle's claim to win an Olympic gold medal with a freaking broken neck was no empty boast. Fast forward a few years later when Angle had established himself as top WWE star and newcomer Brock Lesnar enters the picture. With an immense physique and impressive amateur wrestling skills of his own, Lesnar wants to find out if he's up to Angle's level. The two amateur greats bring in an amateur wrestling referee and go to the mat. It's not even close. Angle handles Lesnar like he's a jobber to the stars. Number 10. Chris Masters. Although the Masterpiece played a heel in the WWE, he played quite a hero when he rescued his mom from a burning building, uprooting a tree and throwing it through the window. Wait a minute, did I just say Masters uprooted a tree? Hercules has nothing on Masters, who jumped into action after a man barricaded himself in the home of Masters' mom, threatening to set the place on fire if anyone tried to come in. Masters called the police only for the madman inside to set the house ablaze. That's when Masters rescued his mom, pulling her out through the window. Lucky for the madman, the police got their hands on him rather than Masters. That's one Master Lock challenge that you can bet Masters would have won. Well guys, there you have it. Our pick for 10 legit badasses in wrestling. Who did we leave out? Who should have been knocked out of our list? Make your comments known and be sure to subscribe to WrestleLamia if you haven't otherwise. And I'll see you next time for some more wrestling content.